Hey guys, so today we are going to talk a little bit about how to know what tools are relevant and like kind of keep up to date with this sort of thing. So let's get into it. Now, what I can tell you is that this is actually very tricky. It's actually very tricky to know kind of if unless you have worked with, and even if you've been working for years and years and years, it's very tricky to keep track of all the different tools and like what's relevant and what's not relevant. And I mean, this is a fairly big problem both for server-side and for front-end developers. It's less of a problem depending on your ecosystem. I mean, if you have started working in, say, C# or the .NET framework and all that good stuff, your tool suite is fairly easy for you to keep track of that because it's all in one. Most of it is in one ecosystem. Java is very similar. Yeah, like you have an unofficial suite of tools that are fairly popular, and so forth. In front-end, it's a complete nightmare unless you know your stuff. There are so many tools. Everybody's using like everything. The diversity is enormous. So all I can really do is to give you the tips that the things that I kind of figured out was the best way of keeping track of like what's actually going on and what's relevant. Now, the first and most obvious one is to have a news feed, to have an understanding of what tools people are promoting. In other words, you are subscribing to the different newsletters and doing all that good stuff. That should give you a fair understanding of that to start off with. For front-end developers, you also have the luxury, if you can call it that there are so many different projects on GitHub. And that's actually a really powerful one. So that's number two. Going to the main tools, like their different repositories, and looking at their, say, the package.json file, and look at their dependencies, and then just kind of go through them and see what people are using. I mean, there's even reports that show this sort of stuff, but it can be tricky for a beginner to kind of figure this out. I mean, I would say like going to Facebook's GitHub account, or looking at the React repository and so forth, and looking at their different and their dependencies, that will give you a good understanding of what sort of tooling that is used. That's the best way I find to figure out this sort of stuff. And then you also have this is more, I would say, oriented around, well, the last one I can really give you is that you go to job ads, because usually there are quite a few job ads out there who will actually use keywords and like different technologies in order to express what they're looking for in a developer. That's a fairly good way of figuring out what's being used professionally. Unfortunately, what's an issue with that is that just because something is used professionally doesn't necessarily mean that it's like super trendy or relevant. I mean, I've seen job ads where, say, for JavaScript, where they have jQuery as a requirement, and jQuery is not as relevant as it used to be. Those are the things that I kind of do in order to keep track of what tools are relevant. And all I can say is that in the beginning it's going to be a little bit tough for you, but it's really great if you have somebody who knows their stuff, who's been in the industry for a while, who can tell you these sorts of things and give you tips, and like objective tips, because we don't want you to listen too much to the opinionated evangelists out there who are pushing their own tools or like preaching something, as opposed to just informing you of what the lay of the land is. So start off by getting yourself a newsletter, then go to some of your favorite repositories and just look at what they are using in their dependency files. That's going to help you a lot. And then finally, you can have a look at the different job ads to check out what the different companies are using. And finally, number 4 is find yourself someone who can maybe give you some insight into that sort of thing. And yeah, that's basically it. Have a great day.